couldn't get it, so I took my hand over here.
All right, Commissioner, time to
Ready?
start.
Let's go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our weekly board session. It's Wednesday, October 21st, 2020. It's 9 o'clock, and we are here in the Senator hearing room. As always, we begin every board session with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you please join me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We don't have anyone signed up for public comment today, so we're going to start off with Katrina Rothenberger and a COVID-19 update. Good morning, Katrina.
As of today, we have 5,589 cases in Marion County, 106 deaths, and 62,394 people have been tested. For the week of October 11th through October 17th, we saw 260 new cases and a 9.7% positivity rate. However, our testing rate...
I'm sorry, myself, can you start over?
Sure. Right.
We had a bit of a technical problem there.
Now you
Okay.
can be perfect the second time through.
Absolutely. Start with my name again?
Please.
Okay. Hi, Katrina Rothenberger, Public Health Division Director for Marion County Health and Human Services. As of today, October 21st, we have 5,589 cases of COVID-19 in Marion County. 106 people have died, and 62,394 people have been tested. For the week of October 11th through October 17th, we saw 260 new cases with a 9.7% positivity rate. However, our testing rate was slightly lower than the previous week at 80 per 10,000 tests. This is down from last week. Last week, the week of October 4th through the 10th, we saw 276 new cases. On Monday, October 19th, the Oregon Health Authority updated their face covering guidance and recommendations. We're now required to wear a face covering or mask instead of a face shield, except in limited situations when a face shield by itself is appropriate, like talking to someone who is deaf or hard of hearing and needs to read lips to communicate. The guidance now requires that people wear face coverings in all private and public workplaces, including classrooms, offices, meeting rooms, and workspaces, unless someone is alone in an office or in a private workspace. They're also requiring face coverings at outdoor venues, such as our outdoor markets, street fairs, and public and private universities. Recently, we've seen an increase in COVID cases, both nationally and statewide. And as we move into the holiday season, we're looking to have friends and family over for holiday parties. We want to remind people to limit your gatherings to 10 people or fewer. And the CDC director, Dr. Robert Redfield, says that small indoor group gatherings are driving the current spike of new COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations in the United States. And in Marion County, we've seen an increase in sporadic cases. We're also seeing the household and close contact cases as well. But the sporadic cases means that we can't necessarily trace where someone came into contact with the virus because they either don't know where they got it from or may be refusing to talk with one of our case investigators. And this is why it's really important that we're limiting our indoor gatherings to 10 people or fewer, because we might have been exposed and not knowing it. We don't want to spread the virus to our friends and family. And then just a reminder about what contact tracing is. And in Marion County, we've been doing this for years. It's a tool that the health department has been using to track infections and diseases in our community like measles and tuberculosis. And if you're contacted by one of us, one of our contact tracers, it's because you or someone you know has been exposed to this virus. And our goal is to make sure that people have the information that they need to protect themselves and their families, and know that your information is private and will be treated as protected health information. Your personal information will not be shared with other agencies, including immigration officials. We take personal health information very seriously, and it really helps protect the integrity of our investigation if we're private. So please answer the call. And then there will be a free drive-up testing event in Woodburn this Saturday from 11 to 2 at Woodburn Ambulance. Pre-registration is now open, and you can visit us at covid-19.mchealthy.net for a link to the event and to sign up. And last, we are in flu season, and it's not too late to get a flu shot. It's a very simple thing that we can do to keep ourselves and our loved ones healthy this fall and winter, and it's really important to get a flu shot. It won't protect you against COVID-19, but it will help prevent respiratory illness in our community and respiratory hospitalization. So they are available through most healthcare providers, clinics, and pharmacies. So don't hesitate and get yours today if you haven't done so. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. Appreciate it. Any questions?
Well, I'm not going to get political just yet, but probably I'll bust out before the end of this meeting. But I do have one. So I watched a commercial last night that tells me an old guy like me is supposed to get a double dose. They never offered it. Is that important? They have a super dose. I thought so. Marketing.
I'll look into it.
Or are you going to come and jab me again? Is that what you're trying to say?
I might,
All
when you
right.
least expect it.
I'll do it.
Okay. Thank you.
I got my single dose.
Yeah, me too.
Have
We
you got
know,
your-
there's video documented
You young
evidence.
guys, have you got yours?
I don't comment on my health care in public,
Oh,
believe it or
okay.
not. I actually believe in keeping privacy for healthcare, personal healthcare.
Was this some new standard I got to deal with? What?
No, it's actually why we have a federal law called HIPAA to protect people's private healthcare information.
Okay, I probably had the double dose then, if that's the case.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Katrina. Appreciate it. All right, next we're moving to our consent agenda. Whose turn is it? Commissioner Cameron's turn?
The good-looking guy.
I think that I was told this morning when I walked in that it was my turn on the consent calendar.
Isn't that funny when the dean does that? Sort of how that
Mr.
works?
Chair, I'll move the consent calendar under Board of Commissioners OLCC applications recommended approval for Desert Fire LLC DBA The Firehouse in Salem, Oregon. Under Business Services, approve an order of a resolution of the litigation matter. Under the Clerk's Office, approve an order appointing Bob Riggy as chairperson and Jennifer Saxey as vice chair to the chairperson's pool, and Gerald Bauman, Jack Yarborough, and Micah Moskoskitz as board members at large to the non-office holding pool for the Marion County Board of Property Tax Appeals, BOPTA, with terms ending June 30th, 2021. Under Public Works, schedule a public hearing for November 4th, 2020 for noise variance, case number 20-001, Section C, concrete pour.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And I
Aye.
apologize for
Motion passes.
probably messing up some names there.
You did your best. Okay. Next up, under our action agenda, we're going to consider approval of the letter of notice of intent to conduct debris removal from private property in Marion County, and sign and send that letter to FEMA. Brian, good morning.
Good morning. Brian Nicholas, Marion County Public Works Director. This morning I'm here in my role as the county's Emergency Management Director. So folks are tracking the progress of the coordinated statewide effort for wildfire debris removal. This may sound familiar to them, or if they're familiar with FEMA protocols. FEMA doesn't do anything, doesn't provide any resources or support without a request from the local agencies, and that's exactly what this is. So FEMA has approved the state of Oregon for 2 emergency response categories for the wildfires. Category B is the emergency response and the household hazardous waste cleanup that is starting in Marion County on Saturday. That's being done under Category B. The other category that was approved was Category A, debris cleanup. And that category applies to public property, so road rights of way, public facilities, parks, that sort of thing. What this document does is request that FEMA also add in debris cleanup on private properties. So it doesn't affect the household hazardous waste cleanup that starts on Saturday. It affects the ash and trash cleanup that is expected to begin in a few weeks. State Debris Management Task Force is still working on some of those details. But what this does is it documents our public interest finding that it is in the public's interest to perform that ash and trash removal on private property, to do things like protect the water quality in the watershed, that sort of thing. So that's the purpose of the request, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Are there any questions for Brian?
All right, Chair Willis, I'd make a motion we approve the letter of notice of intent to conduct debris removal from private property in Marion County and sign and send the letter to FEMA.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we're going to consider adopting an administrative ordinance granting zone change comprehensive plan conditional use ZCCPCU, case number 19-002, TLM Holdings LLC. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Joe Fenimore. This item before you today is an application to change the comprehensive plan designation from primary agriculture to public and semi-public, change the zone from EFU to public, and a conditional use to establish airport-related uses on a 16-acre parcel, 16.5-acre parcel on Airport Road, Northeast Aurora. As part of the application, the applicant is requesting the board take an exception to Goal 3 to remove the agricultural lands restrictions and an exception to Goal 14 to allow an urban level of development on rural lands. The hearings officer held a public hearing on March 27, 2019, and on November 19th issued a recommendation that if the applicant provides additional information, the board approve the goal exceptions, comprehensive plan amendment, zone change, and apply a limited use overlay to set uses conditionally permitted on the property. The board held duly noticed public hearings on the application on June 3rd and June 24th, and left the record open until July 15th. At your regular scheduled meeting on August 5th, you considered all the evidence and approved the request subject to conditions. The conditions outline the approved uses: road frontage improvements to Airport Road, proportional share contributions to 4 different intersection improvements in the area, requirements for adequate fire protection and on-site sewage disposal prior to any building permits, and aircraft are prohibited from hovering in a manner not associated with normal takeoff and landing procedures. The ordinance and findings have been prepared, and notice of adoption was given on October 14th. The ordinance is now set for formal adoption. You have the option of adopting the ordinance as written, direct staff to prepare a modified ordinance, or choose not to adopt the ordinance at this time. Staff recommends the board adopt the ordinance as written, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions for you?
No. We spent a lot of time on this, pretty well hoping that it'll go through.
Commissioner, anything?
No, we know what it is. We've
Yeah.
been there.
We worked on this pretty
Yep.
thoroughly. Okay, so I didn't
So,
entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we adopt an administrative ordinance granting zone change comprehensive plan conditional use ZCCPCU, case number 19-002, TLM Holdings LLC.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? I just want to say there's been a heck of a lot of work on this. This is a nearly 400-page document that we're approving, so thank you to everybody who worked on this. Seeing no other comment, let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, next up, we're going to consider approval of the purchase order contract with McCoy Freightliner in the amount of $184,103 for the purchase of one 2021 Freightliner 12-yard dump truck. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Dennis Mansfield. I'm the Administration Division Manager for Public Works. Yes, before you is a purchase order for one McCoy Freightliner 12-yard dump truck for $184,103. Our fleet has approximately a dozen of these that we utilize throughout the year. In the summer months, we use it for chip seal and rocking shoulders, and then it also in the fall through spring months, we use it for ditch spoils. So the dump truck that we're replacing right now is a 1991, so almost 30 years old, and has over 100,000 miles on it. So staff's recommendation is approval of this purchase order.
Great. Question?
That truck's almost as old as you.
That's right, yeah. I just got a few years on it.
That's been around a long time.
Commissioner mentioned that the truck is almost as old as me.
I think you got over 100,000 miles.
I would say
Just
so,
so you know.
I would say so. Now, how many of these dump trucks do we have, Dennis?
About a dozen of them. in
Oh,
fleet,
wow,
yeah.
all right. That's great. This is something that I'd never anticipated when I became a commissioner. I didn't know I'd be buying dump trucks, but the 6-year-old boy in me really appreciates it.
Yeah.
Chair Willis, I'd like to make a motion to approve a purchase order contract with McCoy Freight Line in the amount of $184,103 for the purchase of one 2021 Freightliner 12-yard dump truck.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Just the fact that the public needs to know how well we try to maintain our equipment and how long we use it. There are some organizations that just turn it over, and Public Works Department does a really good job maintaining equipment and getting the most out of it for the dollars. And I know this year, prior to the fires, driving back and forth in the canyon, every day seeing a whole bunch of our trucks going up to do the chip seal up at North Fork Road and other places that they were chip sealing up there. And so these trucks really get put to good use and get a good life out of them. That's a long time to have a dump truck going up and down the roads every day.
I just did the math. It costs us $511 a month if we hold this thing for 30 years.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal. I'm not sure we could get a dump truck much cheaper than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nowhere written that Commissioner Cameron has an opportunity to drive this. I want to make that clear.
Yeah, are you going to enforce that
Well, you're
in
gonna have to
retirement?
for
Are you
me.
gonna-
Well, after we vote, I got a comment.
All right.
Okay. Do we have a motion on this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Commissioner Cameron?
Well, just yesterday, I got a phone call from a constituent that, on my cell phone saying, I just got yellow paint all over my truck because nobody had marked the paint, I guess. And I told him, well, when I was in the striping machine, we marked it. You had a guy behind us, so you couldn't do that. So we just had an error yesterday.
Well, it wasn't my fault.
So
They've been
you don't-
trying to
go-
get me out on the striping
give-
machine, but I haven't been
You
out
give
yet.
me a bad time about driving this equipment. I haven't ruined anything yet.
And yet is such a key word.
All right, Dennis, it looks like you're still up.
Yep.
And we're going to consider approval of a purchase order with Peterson Machinery in the amount of $148,933.13 for the purchase of one 2020 Caterpillar 440 backhoe loader.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. Yes, this backhoe loader is used at the North Marion Transfer Station. The current one is a 2005 with over 9,000 hours on it. It is used to help with contractor loads who bring in a large box of debris from construction, and they move that material into a larger 48-yard drop box, and they also use it to kind of compact down the drop box to allow more material to go in there. And increased volume over the last several years has put that backhoe to good use, and so it's time to replace it and get a new one. So it is staff's recommendation to approve this purchase order.
Are there any questions for Dennis? Now, Dennis, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Dennis, now there's a story that during the fire, a sheriff's deputy stole a backhoe loader borrowed from Public Works in order to help clear debris and keep people out of the fire. We're not having to purchase this because they didn't return the one that they commandeered, are we?
No. No, this one never left the site.
Appreciate that. Just wanted to make sure that the sheriff is returning the equipment that they're borrowing.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve a purchase order contract with Peterson Machinery Company in an amount of $148,933.13 for the purchase of one 2020 Caterpillar 440 backhoe loader.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you,
Thank you,
Dennis.
Commissioners.
Okay. It is not yet 9:30, so we will take a break. We'll recess.
Or talk about, if we don't have the press availability,
Oh,
any of those subjects.
that's a good idea. Let's
fill
do that.
in.
Okay. So last night, we held a town hall, a virtual town hall with constituents, where we answered a lot of questions that people probably have about recovery and rebuilding and cleanup and that sort of thing. As a result, we unless we see questions at the end of this meeting, we're not going to hold a press availability tonight, but we will repost last night's town hall, and we also will have an in-person town hall in the Santiam High School gym a week from today at 5:30 in the evening, and that's in Mill City. Is there anything else that
Well,
I
maybe
missed?
Brian, he's come up, wants to talk about permits and the different things that right away.
Yeah, go for it, Brian, please.
Yes. Again, Brian Nicholas, Marion County Public Works Director. EPA Household Hazardous Waste Cleanup begins this Saturday in Marion County. EPA will have crews on the ground. And if you go to any of the Marion County web pages, at the top of every single Marion County web page, you'll see a little red button you can click that says Wildfire Recovery. Click on that and it'll take you to a page that has all kinds of information available about debris cleanup effort and how to submit a right of entry, that sort of thing. And right below the right of entry button that you can click to submit that right of entry, you'll find a link to EPA. EPA has put together a really nice website. They're using actual information. They've already started work down in Jackson County. So they're using pictures and a schedule and a tracking map that they've developed and already implemented down there. They've actually already started mapping all of the properties that they have received rights of entry from us. So folks want to go and check that out. It's got lots of great information. If you're wondering really what this household hazardous waste effort looks like, go to that website. They have a whole bunch of pictures that show you exactly what it looks like. And it's a little bit what you might expect. People in white suits with respirators, and they're walking through people's property, people that have submitted right of entry, looking for hazardous waste items like batteries and propane cylinders and all kinds of other things. And there's some photos that show you exactly how they leave your property when they're done with this first phase of cleanup. So I encourage people to take a look at that. There's a lot of good information there. Most importantly, though, if you want your property to be included in this household hazardous waste effort, we need you to submit a right of entry. And you can submit a right of entry just for the phase 1 cleanup that starts this Saturday, and you can withhold judgment and decide in a couple of weeks whether you want to do the phase 2 cleanup as part of the statewide effort. But if you don't have that phase 1 right of entry submitted to the county, you're going to be left out, and household hazardous waste is going to be an issue for you. And if you decide later that you do want to do the phase 1 cleanup, it really complicates if the household hazardous waste isn't already dealt with. So there's no cost to property owners to be a part of the household hazardous waste cleanup. There's no cost to your insurance. Insurance won't get billed. The FEMA and the state are picking up 100% of the cost of that cleanup. So we're just encouraging everybody, there's still a few hundred people with properties in the fire zone that have not submitted rights of entry for household hazardous waste cleanup. We really need those people to go online and submit that as soon as they can.
Yeah, please.
So would you give that date of the extension on the application to do that? And then just answer this question for me. If you don't do this, you were kind of getting at it, if you don't take advantage of it, as an old garbage collector, I wouldn't know what to do with these materials if you're not part of this process, and that just scares me. People say, oh, we'll take care of it later. How? There's no good answer I can come up with.
Nope. There's only one landfill in the state that takes this stuff, and that's out in Arlington. And so you want to get it done now. That's where all this is going to be. This household hazardous waste is going to be shipped when it's all said and done. You're right. Our local haulers, they're going to have a hard time dealing with this. And frankly, if people throw it in their regular waste bin, haulers, there's not much that they can do with it. They got to give it back to the property owner and say, figure out a way to deal with this. So. Yes, Commissioner, could you repeat your original question? I'll make sure I get that answered.
We extended the ROE application date, and I didn't hear you say it out loud.
That's right. Right of entry, we were asking people to get it to us by last Friday. We've extended that to this coming Friday. And frankly, even if it's next week and you haven't gotten the word, but next week you get the word, hey, we'll take your right of entry. Go online, submit it, it goes directly into our database, and then we double check, make sure all the information is correct, and we forward it on to EPA so they can add it to their database. But that EPA website has a great map. It shows all of the property owners, and it'll even give you a status of when it gets cleaned up. So you can track where EPA is doing work and when they're getting close to your property and when they're done with your property.
And then, Brian, I got one more thing that we did talk about last night, but it wasn't quite clear. I think some people were asking that if this is done, then all the asbestos is gone, all the lead paint is gone, et cetera. But they take specific items, but that ash itself, if you intend to do it yourself, will take special testing and handling. Just don't assume that once the big hazardous materials, the obvious, have been removed, that you're safe to go now. You still want it, to me, be in this program and have it done. Otherwise, you're going to find trouble in the future.
Yeah, I agree. There are some folks that are telling us they're waiting to hear all the final details on the Phase 2 cleanup. That's to deal with all the ash debris, all the structural debris, not the isolated, bundles of batteries and propane cylinders and paint cans. That's household hazardous waste. The later cleanup, Phase 2, some people are still saying they're waiting to hear all the specifics before they submit on that. But I think when it's all said and done, folks are going to want to participate in that because it clearly is the lowest cost. It'll be the lowest cost alternative for property owners.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
We just got to get everybody to sign those right of entry forms
That's right.
and make it more efficient.
Missing something? So we have about 5 minutes until our hearing. What's that? You have a different time than I do?
I guess.
What do you
3
think?
minutes. 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Should we take a recess? Okay.
If you'd like.
So, all right. We'll take a recess. We'll be back in 3 minutes. CCP case number 20-003, MF, I'm gonna mess this up, Bake Builders, Home Exit LLC, 25 Years LLC, Gene M. Miller Family Trust, and Harlan Miller Trust. Good morning, Lindsay.
Morning, Commissioners. For the record, this is Lindsay King. The item before you today is an application to amend the comprehensive plan designation from special agriculture to commercial and to change the zone from special agriculture to commercial on approximately 21 acres. The hearings officer held a public hearing on August 13th and on September 22nd issued a recommendation to approve the request based on the existing record at the time. The properties are located on the north side of Gaffin Road, approximately 1,200 feet northeast of the intersection with Deer Park Drive. The properties are legal parcels for land use purposes. Properties directly to the east are zoned commercial. Property to the northeast is zoned special agriculture, and all other adjacent parcels are located within Salem city limits and developed with industrial uses. The hearings officer found that the applicant has proven that all applicable statewide planning goals except Goal 3 are met, and the applicant is seeking an exception to Goal 3. Land use applications must be consistent with statewide planning goals, and is the case, it would be statewide Goal 3, agricultural land, in this case. There are tools available for not applying these goals, and these mechanisms is the goal exception process that requires specific findings to justify why such lands are not available for resource use. The three types of exemptions are physically developed, irrevocably committed, and reasons. In this case, the applicant indicated that the proposal meets the physically developed and irrevocably committed exception. The hearings officer then reviewed the applicable comprehensive plan policies as well as zone change criteria, recommended approval with the following condition: a trip cap limiting development to 448 daily trips or 55 p.m. peak hour trips that are identified in Table 3 of the traffic impact analysis. The applicant may have additional information and evidence for consideration and will present that to you shortly. The board has the option of continuing the public hearing, close the hearing and leave the record open, close the hearing and approve, modify or deny the request, or remand the matter back to the hearings officer. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions from Lindsay?
Not yet.
No,
Not this time.
not this time. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Lindsay. Okay, we have one person signed up for the hearing, John Brosey. I believe that's probably you.
Thank you. Members of the board, my name is John Brosey, B-R-O-S-Y. If you can't hear me through this, please ask for me to repeat. Still having a hard time getting used to it. I represent the property owners. I'm a land use planning consultant. My address is 161 High Street Southeast, Suite 224, Salem 97301, about a block and a half that way. About a little over a year ago, these property owners, this group of property owners came to me and have kind of a peculiar situation with SA zoning at the end of Gaffin Road, which has been changing gradually throughout the years, but the SA zoning and comprehensive plan designation remain for them. They wanted to know if they could get this changed to county rural commercial. So we did a thorough analysis and made the proposal. So it's been a little over a year. It's been slowed down a little bit by the coronavirus, not too badly. Part of our study included a very thorough traffic impact analysis that included analyzing 4 key intersections in the area, including Gordon Road at Gaffin, Santiam Highway interchange there, which is right across from the property, Deer Park Drive in Gaffin, and Deer Park Drive in Culver. So the study was fairly lengthy. It was expensive, but it was lengthy and it was thorough. And that's where the recommended condition of traffic cap comes from. And as I mentioned previously, we have no opposition to that condition. Basically what it has to do with at full build-out for what things that can be conceived of in the rural commercial designation, which has a lot of restrictions, including size of buildings, that sort of thing. We're not to exceed those trips in the condition, and we have no opposition to that. In fact, the numbers were recommended by our consultant. So it was a lengthy process, includes a number of, I think we're up to 16 attachments and exhibits, at least from my count and my application. But it had to be thorough because it includes a Goal 3 exception, statewide Goal 3 exception. I think it's important to note at this point of the process, after the staff has recommended approval, the hearings officer has recommended approval, to know that way back when all the agencies were notified that the Department of Land Conservation and Development did not make any comment either, which is rare, especially on Goal 3 exceptions. And so things been, so we think we did a thorough job. We think it's an overwhelming case for the Goal 3 exception as well as the comprehensive plan and zone change. I have these wonderful boards that include the maps that I'm so proud of in our application, but I don't think it's necessary to use them. It's one of those things where it's not a threat, but we did I had some assistance with an intern who's an Oregon State junior now in an engineering program, and she did a great job. She was at the last hearing. She's at school today, or doing school remotely. Anyway, I'd be happy to end my comments and answer any questions that you might have. A number of our, about I think 5 of our, from our owner group are in the audience, but don't wish to testify.
Mr. Brozzi, could I ask you to take out one of those maps? I would like to take a look at it as we're talking.
Excuse me?
Could you take out one of those maps so that I
sure.
can look at it while we're talking? I would appreciate that. Any questions for John? Who
No,
wants to
it's
go
good.
first?
I don't have any.
You don't have any? Do you have any? Tim?
Not at this time. I was just trying to, I was reading this the other day, and I was trying to figure out exactly, I know where Gaffin Road is, I know where Corden Road is, I know about all the construction, the apartments and everything that's gone on out there, gas station across the street. So this is across the street on the north, this is the northeast corner of Gaffin. Go ahead and show us on the map, we'll see it, yeah.
Didn't bring the easels this time.
That's
That's
okay.
all
You
right.
can set it right in front of that thing there. Yeah, that should be just fine.
These are the same maps that are
So can you point to the intersection of Gaffin and Corden?
This is an aerial photograph, and this is Culver Road, this is Corden, and this is Gaffin, comes out here.
And the subject property is where?
Subject property is this area surrounded by this violet color.
And how many different parcels are there? Is it 5 or 6?
There's one house here, and there's one house here, and there's a small house in the corner of there at this point.
Okay. And, oh, sorry, please.
Mr. Chair, is that the interchange of 22, and so it's right close to the interchange there?
Right, this is
So-
the ramp to.
Right, so the transfer station is right
On the other side.
below it.
And there's sort of an auto body shop just to the east of the subject property, is that right?
Excuse me?
There's
There's-
a number of businesses in there.
Yeah.
Have been for a long time.
There's like a car repair shop, is that right?
Yeah, on this corner, there's a number of commercial and light industrial uses that already has county commercial zone.
Yep. And then in the property that we're talking about,
That's this one.
that's what, right there, that's what I thought. And so we're just a little bit west of there, that we're looking at, and there's a landscape company in one of those lots, is that
Green
right?
Acres is in there somewhere.
There's a small pond up here.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a small pond that's down below the grade of most of the rest of this. It was actually man-made many years ago,
okay.
but it's very natural looking now. It's one of the photographs, one of the last exhibits in the application.
And,
That's out to, at full development, that area is out to probably remain natural. And it might be an area to do wetland mitigation or something like that. It's hard to tell right now because it's not, we don't have the zoning for that, of course. And the property is still individually owned. During the course of this, one of the owners sold to another owner, so we're down to 3 owner groups.
okay.
But yes, correct, there's a small pond down there.
So how many businesses are on this subject property? Just the one?
Excuse me?
How many businesses are operating?
Right now,
Today.
we're operating just the one.
And that's the landscape company?
The large animal vet, a lot of you probably remember, Dr. Don Howard is retired, he lives in Prineville now. But he sold his business and his property to Rich Kansky, who's the owner of Green Acres.
Shrum's needing you to be on the microphone if I see this right.
Oh, okay, yeah, you can set that down. If you want to sit there, that's great.
I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. He can sit down, we can re-ask the question. So the question we were asking was how many businesses are operating on these subject properties?
Right now, just one. The vets, as far as I know, the vet business is still empty. The property was sold, like I said, Dr. Don Howard, veterinary medicine doctor who'd been out there for years and years, retired, and he lives in Prineville. He sold his property to Rich Kansky, who has the Green Acres nursery and landscape service business next door.
Okay.
The reason for the commercial designation is that there's a lot of restrictions, obviously, even though there are some, there are a couple of conditional uses that are operating now legally in the SA zone. There are much, SA is not intended to have a lot of commercial, obviously. It's a special ag, very similar to inclusive farm use, as you know. And at this point, I guess when the comprehensive plan was done, the city had a lot of industrial zoning out there, and it's been out there for a long time, but now it's being used. The property that used to be Panasonic is now a big facility for Amazon, where people come. It's an immense, if you haven't been out there, it's pretty impressive just to look how long they're and how big their loading docks are. But if there's something you buy from Amazon that you don't want it to be delivered to your doorstep, you can go pick it up there. And so that's one of the very large uses nearby. The number of other ones that have come in across the road is the correction facility. On the other side is already county commercial. Now, it's hard to compare how this development will be with that one because all those uses, all the number of uses up at the intersection were built a number of years ago under different development standards. The new things that would happen here, we don't have, we're not hiding anything, it's just, we're just doing the comprehensive plan and zone change right now, will look a lot different with landscaping, more paving, but still smaller uses. There's still a restriction, and I made a point of it in my application that rural county commercial is much different than the standard county commercial, and that's appropriate because of the location. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Do you have any questions? No. How big are these lots?
Total, they're 21 acres.
And there's 3 owners, but how many parcels are there?
There's one that's smaller, maybe 10 or 15,000 square feet, but that's where the Don's house, or there was a house on Don Howard's property, and the rest are in the 2 acre to 2 acre plus 2 to 5 acre. There's a table that shows those different sizes on, I believe it's Exhibit 4.
Great. And as far as you know, when was the last time there was farming done? in this?
There's not much of a record of that. There was probably some farming done on the far north, lower part of the property, but it was a long time ago.
So like decades
It
we're talking
doesn't,
about.
you know, there's a fairly significant drainage way that goes through there. And the likelihood, although we don't have a wetland delineation or even a wetland reconnaissance, but the likelihood is there's some jurisdictional wetlands there. And that's why I was saying that I perceive in the future the development would be on the upper southerly part of the property closer to Gaffin Road. And the rest of it would probably be either wetland or some mitigation for some minor changes in the wetlands. It's hard to tell at this point, but none of that is possible without getting the comprehensive plan and zone change.
But currently, there's no farming being done there?
No, there may be, no.
No.
There's, on the adjacent property, it's not in our application, there is some fairly low intensity, there's some straw and hay being raised, and there's some areas that are fenced for horses.
And that's the northeast of this subject, is that right?
East, no. Easterly, we have, nothing's, completely square up here, but you have all that commercial at the intersection. To the north is, there's an area, some agriculture. We did a pretty thorough job of identifying those and putting them in tables and identifying them on the maps.
Okay.
In the big picture, the adjacent agricultural lands that you have planning jurisdiction over are much more intensely used for agriculture, shall we say, on the northeast rather than the southeast, partly because the parcelization their parcels are smaller, and also the soil generally is a little bit better.
Got it.
And we don't have to contend with as many drainage courses, which if they're going slow, then they're wetlands and they're hard to use. You have a lot of exceptions in the federal and the state rules for agriculture, but the big picture is that the EFU and the SA zones in the northeast of northeast of the state limits are much higher value and much more intensely used for agriculture than this area, particularly this immediate area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You have anything else?
No, it's good.
Okay, thank you, John.
I don't think anybody else has tested or signed up.
Okay, we'll let Lindsay finish up here then.
For the record, those exhibits are in the file, the maps up front.
Great.
Do you have any questions for staff?
Yeah, Commissioner Bertano does.
Well, I have 2. They're not really questions, but one is just to go over a little bit of I'm forgetting how I say it, the goal 3. If it's irretrievably committed like I believe, and it's pretty obvious that this fulfills that situation, but I just didn't hear it discussed very much.
So the physically developed and irrevocably committed exceptions to the goal. There's a list of A, B, C, and D. So there's 4 things. There are the same as the existing land uses on the exception site. They meet the following requirements: the rural uses, density, public facilities, as defined by the goals, are consistent with all other applicable goal requirements. The rules, uses, density, and public facilities and services will not commit adjacent or nearby resources to non-resources as defined in OAR 660-004-0028, and the rural uses, density, and public facilities and services are compatible with adjacent or nearby resource uses. Let's see. For which uses, density, and public facilities and services are consistent with the planning and zoning of unincorporated communities, if applicable, or that the industrial development uses and accessory uses subordinate to the industrial development, buildings or any size, I don't think that is applicable. Essentially, the applicant stated in their application that the properties are already developed, not currently being farmed, have not been for quite some time, as Mr. Rossi stated. There are surrounding uses of industrial that are located within the city limits of Salem, as well as commercial uses just to the east, where there's a bunch of different smaller businesses. It's not just one giant Amazon facility. So I can have the applicant speak more to
No,
the
you don't
irrevocably
need to.
committed, but.
I liked it better when you weren't reading the rules and just saying. It looks like, it acts like everything else around it is
Essentially.
appropriate.
Yes.
And no longer to be farmed, and if you know that area at all, that's exactly what you have, a developing area, and this is one small thing. I just wanted to make sure. it was
Yeah,
mentioned
no
for the
worries.
record. Then one more kind of phony one for me, maybe Joe answers, but I'm fine with the traffic caps, but what's the mechanism to ever enforce them? Is it after somebody complains and then we do some kind of study that they're exceeding what the rules were? How do they limit traffic? And I don't have any idea whether that's a whole lot of trips. 448 sounds like a lot, but how does that happen? Does somebody watch it?
I believe that's through our LDEP department, Land Development, Engineering, and Permits. I would actually have to refer
would
to
you
Joe
just
for
tell
that
me what
one.
would happen? So someday down the road, they say, you know what, they're far exceeding. It's always a traffic jam in front of these businesses. And so what does the county do about it 20 years from now?
For the record, Joe Fenimore. So what will happen is when these properties are developed, they'll come in for permits and it'll be tracked at that time. You know, LDEP has their program for SDC fees. That's based on traffic, on expected traffic count. So we can use that information to keep track of the number of trips that are being generated. If there's a problem, then we can have the property owners address it at that time.
All right, then go one step further. There is a problem. How would you limit it?
We would have them show us. We would stop all permits until it was demonstrated that they met that condition.
Okay, give me one more. Give me how you would say, you can't have 12 people at your business today. Is that how it is?
Well, it's traffic count, so it's a type of business in the nature, and when are the trips generated? If you have businesses that are open in the evening as opposed to during the day, you may
You
have.
could limit the hours, perhaps you're
You
saying?
can do all kinds of stuff like that,
All right.
yes.
I just want to make sure there's a realistic expectation that if that is a condition, it could be enforced.
So, Mr. Chair and Commissioner, I noticed that it was the city of Salem that required that cap, not us.
Yeah.
I think that
Right.
was part of the coordinated traffic study
Traffic
that the
engineer
applicant.
from the city
yeah.
of Salem requested that cap. Is there going to be bike lanes there?
Oh, that'd probably be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, you could use them. So I have one more question, Mr. Brosi. What is this property to the west of the subject property here? It's a big grass field. Do you know what that is and who owns it and what the intended uses of it? It's between the Amazon plant and the subject property.
One moment, please. The area immediately west
Yeah.
is industrial zone. It's just, it's fallow right now. It's owned by the city's redevelopment authority.
Perfect, okay.
It's it's Gaia Street.
That's all I needed to know. I just was curious what that was.
They have
being
been
used
doing
for.
some more utility extensions out there. I'm not sure whether they have a new industrial use started out there, but I know that there's that's what where it's headed to.
Okay, that's great.
Chair Wells, if I'm not ahead of myself, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing to approve the request and including the one condition regarding traffic.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Mr. Brosi. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate your time. This hearing is closed. And whose turn is it to read the calendar? Is that you, Commissioner Brentano?
Oh, I don't know that.
I'll do it. What? No,
Well, you did the beginning. It's
All right.
I'd just be excited to do this afternoon, morning. Where are we? Let's see, we've got a number of things listed for Wednesday that are already accomplished, so I'll start at the next one at 11 o'clock. We have a joint Marion County and Lynn County wildfire response in the Commissioner's Boardroom, 5th floor, 555 Court Street, Northeast in Salem. Then this afternoon at 4 o'clock to 6, a FEMA briefing for local officials, Santiam High School Gym, 265 Southwest Evergreen Street in Mill City. Tomorrow morning, a quarterly meeting at 7:30 with Silverton, Mont Angel, Jervis, and Scotts Mills at the Main Street Bistro, 291 East Main Street in Silverton. Thursday, 8:30, a fire update, Commissioner's Boardroom. Friday, the same thing at 8:30, fire update, Commissioner's Boardroom. Monday, the 26th, calendar review, Commissioner Boardroom at 8:15. At 8:30, a fire update, again, Commissioner's Boardroom, and that's followed at 9 o'clock on Monday with management update, also Commissioner's Boardroom. And then, following that, Commissioner's Boardroom, 11 o'clock, a BOC CAO meeting, executive session if needed pursuant to ORS 192660 and every letter you can think of. At 8:30 on Tuesday, a fire update, Commissioner's Boardroom. At 9 o'clock, a work session, economic development update, Commissioner's Boardroom. That's at 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock, weekly stakeholders partner meeting. That's a virtual meeting. On Tuesday, the 27th, 2 o'clock, Marion County Housing Authority Board meeting, Commissioner's Boardroom. Wednesday, the 28th, 8:30, fire update, Commissioner's Boardroom. That's followed at 11 o'clock, same location, joint Marion and Lynn County wildfire response. And then next Wednesday, the 28th, 4 o'clock to 5, a FEMA briefing for local officials, Santiam High School Gym, 265 Southwest Evergreen Street in Mill City. And then, a special item, that following that again in the Mill City Gym at 5:30, a wildfire recovery community town hall, and that'll be an in-person meeting. We think we have enough space lined up. They will be monitoring people and keeping them separated. That'll be in Santiam High School Gym, 265 Southwest Evergreen. I guess it's, again at 5:30 Wednesday the 28th. That's our list.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. We've got a busy week ahead of us.
Yeah, last night went great.
I was impressed how many people showed up to that virtual town hall.
They said 3,000 views. That's
3,000 views?
I thought I thought I'd heard that. Sorry if I'm misstating,
Well, I
but
hope
it was a
that,
lot.
we're providing good information to folks.
So, do I get to be political? And you should say, you know, we don't really need that here.
Commissioner
So,
Brentano, you're at a
just-
time of your career where you get to basically say whatever you want.
it
So
has to do
that's
with-
interesting. I just was, I posted the, what did I post? It was just trying to support Brian and getting these right of entry forms. I just reposted to Facebook and somebody just said, what? I didn't know we pulled our right of entry because we thought our insurance was gonna get billed for hazardous waste cleanup on second homes. So I think the more we continue to communicate, the more people get the right information, because there's so much.
Not right.
Have you watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix?
No, sir.
Oh, man. There's so much misinformation out there that people you know, so somebody says something and then somebody repeats it and then it's not, and then there are questions that we don't have answers to. And I think that's the appropriate thing to say, is that question hasn't been answered. You know, on phase 2, there's still a lot of unanswered questions with second homes, et cetera. Are they gonna be picked up? That's still to be determined, so. It was good that we got more information out. We'll continue to do that.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Well,
I didn't get political, I'm going to. So this mask business, I've gotten quite a lot of criticism over the last few months about not wearing a mask during these board meetings. Now, my rationale is that we've been pretty well separated, maybe not exactly if you measure head to head, whether it's 6 feet all the time, but I felt pretty comfortable. To me, this last deal is a political push, a rally at the end of the race with the election. I just can't help but believe that. I'm not very happy about it. If it pleases everybody, I'll wear this thing, but I think it's forced, contrived. You can get any answer on masks you want, whether they're good or bad. If it makes people offended not to wear it, I'll wear it, but not very happy right now. That's all.
well, I just think from the beginning, we've just focused on using common sense and doing what makes sense, and I think that's what we'll continue to do. All right.
I've never used common sense, so maybe that's my problem.
Have you not?
Nope.
Have you noticed my coffee cup I flash in front of you?
The tin
Not
cup
this
fishing
one,
derby?
another one I have that says, something about, I'm sorry if I offended you with my common sense.
On that note, we're adjourned.